Hey guys, welcome back to my Practically Imperfect Life. I just finished getting cleaned up after a day of yard work, and I thought I might take you around and just show you a little bit of what we've been up to here in our gardens, because it has been several weeks now of just an insane amount of work. We had what felt like the absolute longest winter and a very, very cool spring. Like, it was still dropping down into the 30s almost at the end of May, and then it was super wet, like very wet. And the downside of that is that it just makes planting and getting everything done very difficult. Anyways, I have been hard at work. I've actually hired a couple people to come and help me, some girls who needed some hours, and they've been fantastic. I filmed a little bit of kind of like work in progress. So I thought, well, I'll show you the little montage of what we've been up to, and then I'll take you around and show you some of my favorite things in the garden, largely to show you that most gardens aren't perfect. I mean, this one's practically imperfect. We had 3 solid days of rain, so we've had a weed explosion. And so that is tomorrow's project, is to start going quadrant by quadrant and just knocking out as many weeds as we can. But anyways, here's a little montage of kind of the work getting done, and then we'll show you some of my favorite sites in the garden right now. This is our front flower bed. It is right off of our porch, going to the front here, and oh my gosh, here, I'll put a little picture up to show you these roses last week, because they have gone through a whole big flush of blooms, and they self kind of deadhead. So all of these will, like fall off, and then they'll be replaced with new ones. This is what they look like when they bloom, and then they fade to kind of like a pinky color, and it's been great. I went hardcore on grub preventer, and I don't know if it's that or the fact that we just have not had a ton of heat, but no Japanese beetle damage so far. But we're going to stay on top of it, and hopefully the roses will have a year where they don't get attacked. This phlox, now I think after this year I am going to move it, because while it is stunning, I mean, it is stunning, and like the daisies are just starting to pop. Like, can you imagine when this is all white daisies? But I don't like these 2 colors next to each other, and I did not realize how badly they were going to clash when I planted it. But I do love it with this vivid hoopla pink, I think is what it's called. It's a Super Tunia Vista, so it's gonna just spread out and get really big. Oh, that's a cool color combination right there. Really like that. And then these daylilies, I'm not normally a huge daylily fan. I had 2 of them in a corner of my yard, actually up there, and I pulled them out because they were doing so poorly, and split them into like 6 or 7. I think 7. Yeah, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, and they just love their life now. And honestly, I'm probably gonna have to split them again. They are just crazy. I think this is the cat's pajama nepeta. So it was covered in these blooms, and it's ready for me to do a cut back. So I'll cut it back, and then it'll bloom at least one more time. And I did the Mini Vista yellow again. So these are proven winners, and you can see just how bad the weeds are. Just know that I know, right? The weeds are awful. But They were a carpet of yellow last year, and they're already spreading out so much. I mean, this is one plant right now. Oh, the weeds. Ugh. But I love it. And this clematis loves its life. Like, it just loves its life. I have no idea what the variety it is. This is the only plant that is remaining from what was here originally when I first moved in. Everything else I have changed. But I did add the trellis last year. So glad I did. It's been worth it. My flower pots, I was just all about purples and pinks this year in the flower pots. So I have different varieties. I'll try to throw up names of them. I know I have the tags somewhere, but you know, I think this is a super tunia. I think maybe like a marine or what it's called. And I don't know the name of that one. This is a sparkling amethyst, I believe. Something like that. But it is just beautiful. And speaking of flower pots, let me show you one of my favorites. So up by our garage, we have this flower pot, and I got a coleus. So this is a Sunblaze line coleus, so it can take the full sun, and I have it with these guys. Oh, it's just so pretty with lots of bright, vivid colors. I mean, they're already starting to trail out the sides. Can you imagine when it's all the way down? That's one I really like, but I also like ones that have just foliage too. This one is not just foliage, but I wanted to also show you this one. This is a new super tunia from Proven Winners. I'll put the name up because it's brand new. Tiara Blue. I really like the Tiara Blue. This is a geranium that I started from seed this year, and it has not bloomed yet, but it will. It's the violet one, so it'll be a real pretty mix. And some sweet potato vine, love that one. I have another one next to it that has another mix of the purple with the Tiara Blue, but this one's got a grass in the middle. Got a tomato plant that still needs to go out. This is like the hot mess corner. I had these pots in the classroom where I teach. I had these in there all year, brought them home. I don't know what I'm going to do with them yet, but they were all plants I started from seed last year. So I just took them in and kept them throughout the whole year. So these are ginormous geraniums. They are the white that I started from seed last year, and they just kept blooming all throughout the winter. It was really nice. But these are the two that have very few in the flowers, and it's mostly like greenery. So the Mini Vista Yellow, I believe, and then just different types of coleus. I think this one's might be chocolate drop, and then I think that's lime thyme, and maybe that's wicked witch. I hope I got those right, but I just love that mix together there. I think that's pretty stunning. Out around here, I had mentioned before that I thought maybe these trees were done for because they were really struggling, and then they heard me and they put on a bunch of new growth, and they've got a bunch of like bright green to show me that they're growing. So we'll see how they look at the end of the season. They do need to be like trimmed. You can see like it needs to be sheared to fix the shape. The boxwoods look great. I did not trim them at all this year, and honestly I'm fine with that. Like, I'm okay with them looking a little bit wild. The hydrangeas are getting huge. Like, they were so tiny when I first planted them a few years ago. I am so pleased with how big they've gotten. I went with a jazzberry in front of them this year instead of the bubblegum. It is still a vista. It will still fill in. Believe it or not, this will be a whole blanket of flowers, probably by like mid-July. It'll just be solid flowers, but it won't overtake things quite as much as the bubblegum does. The lilacs are out of bloom, but again, they've put on so much growth. And then in front of them, I have a mix. These are apple blossom, and I think I did apple blossom and violet geraniums. Again, all geraniums I started from seed this year. They are still quite small. They just need some time, but we will see what they do. But I think that'll be a real pretty mix of purple. And then we'll come around the corner here. So here's where I went crazy with bubblegum, and here's also where the weeds have gotten really, really bad. We're starting to get into that zone. Like, you can see along the house, like, oh, every time it rains, it's just nuts. I have a couple, so these are the same variety of hydrangeas that are on the front of the house. But I just put these in the ground August of last year. So we're just letting them go for a bit. But I planted Plain the Blues, Rockin' Plain the Blues salvia. That's what this guy is. Every year these do great for me. They get about 3.5 feet tall. They bush out really wide. They're covered in blooms, and then they're nonstop honeybees over them all the time. I love it. And that's Loki, because, you know, he has to be involved. And then I did the bubble gum because I really don't know what I want to do in this bed permanently. So I thought, well, let's just fill it up with flowers and see what happens. But it'll look a lot better once the grass is gone from there. It just, I don't know. It rained and then the weeds come up everywhere. But that's one of the problems. But also, this is one of the problems, this big old maple tree, because it drops seeds everywhere and then they all just come up. Like, I've been pulling up like hundreds of baby seeds. It's been nuts. In the back garden, all of these guys are foxglove. I started way too many foxgloves, so I just filled the whole bed up with them. I'm almost like, let's just see what happens with them. So we're gonna let them do their thing. Some of the ground covers I planted last year are really starting to bush out, and I think that is awesome. The Bretera is looking really good. The Lenten roses, these were just stunning when they first started to bloom, and they have gotten huge. And I have to look and see if I can divide these, because that one is huge as well. But all of these are just looking really good. I have to fix my trellis. The climbing hydrangea has tilted it, so I need to straighten it up. And then I have some larger shrubs in the back that are really starting to finally put on some growth, because the whole idea is that I want this to like fill this whole space and be a big backdrop there. But I did more foxglove up here. I've planted more of this ground cover. That's what these little tiny baby ones are. So we can try to cover as much of the bed as possible with ground covers. And then I also put in some English ivy just this week. So I'm hoping that that will also create some cover. I haven't even taken the tags off these yet. These are newly planted. These are called Blue Muffin Viburnums. So they will get big. Now it said to plant at least 2 so you can get berries. So I've got 2 next to each other. So they'll flower in the spring and then they will make berries. So that's what I am hoping for there, but it's looking pretty happy. This was another project area, and this furniture is not staying here. We just had to move it out of the way from where we had it set under a tree because Steve was mowing. But this was all mud and a little bit of it had quite a bit of rock mixed into the ground. Like somebody had used rock for the landscaping at some point, but it had become mostly dirt. So we actually scooped out about 4 inches of soil and rock. We took the rocks out. I've got them in buckets back there to rinse off and repurpose in other parts of the garden. But we put down landscape fabric and then new rock, and it looks really nice. So I have this low bowl pot that was gifted to me, and it's got a couple of my favorite super bells in it. I just think they're so pretty. And I put a hibiscus in the middle, and it's just kind of a tropical vibe. Another all coleus pot, and then one that has a grass in the middle and just white Super Tunia Vista white, which is already growing out the side of the pot. And then my herbs right there. Another kind of tropical vibe to this pot. And again, you see all this. We got to get all these weeds out, and then we need to reseed the grass because it's just gotten really bad. It gets so muddy when it rains, and then it's just a mess. But I like this. I think that's a really pretty mix right there. Isn't that a cool color combination? And then I think this is a queen tut. Grass in the middle. Love that. And if you need a shade planter, I like this one. So, the lighting's not great. Let's see if I can get some better lighting. Okay, these are impatient, so they do need like part shade to shade, but it's not showing up real great on camera, but they're almost like a neon pink. They're so bright and pretty. And then the leaves on this have that same kind of pink going through them. Got a little trailer on the side, but it is growing really, really well. So behind our garage, it's mostly a shade bed. So lots of big hostas. I did plant an arborvitae, which I'm hoping will do okay there because there's nothing evergreen in here. All of this goes away once fall hits. So we'll see. And then another little planter up here that I like on a little cement statue that my mom gave me. So as far as like the garden projects that I said that I really wanted to focus on this year, I had mentioned wanting to add water access out by the barn. So we did get a second hose hookup in the back of the house, which is immensely helpful. And then in our second barn, our smaller barn, they have been digging down to replace the yard hydrant because once upon a time there were animals kept in these barns. And so there is a water line that runs from the house to the barn, but the yard hydrant was no good. We've had so much rain. They dug down, and they dug down like 4 feet. And it just floods with water. They pump the water out, it floods with water. They pump the water out, it floods with water again. So they were like really apologetic. The plumbers were so nice. They were like, hey, look, we're just gonna watch the weather. And when we have like a 5-day stretch where it's pretty dry, then we'll come out and we'll finish it. And they were like, we're really sorry. And I was like, no, I understand because like I deal with water in my basement all the time. So like I'm totally used to it being an issue. So that's one big project that we wanted to get done. So we'll have water access. It's just going to take a little more time, but it's getting there. So I'm happy that it's happening. So that's great. We also wanted to work on our orchard trees because right now, so the space behind me here where our apple trees are, it used to have railroad ties and then it was rocked. And again, like rocks had gotten lost, dirt had gotten in there, and it turned into mostly like a rockweed mess. It was awful. So we took the railroad ties out last year and been going through as I have time. And I've even had friends have been like, hey, do your kids want to earn like, I don't know, that they come out and they put rocks in a bucket. Like I'll pay them like $10 a bucket of rocks. So, you know, it can get done. And so people have been trying to come out and help. And the kids think that it's fun. And I'm like, it helps me out and I pay them. So we've been doing that. So there's still like quite a bit to get out of here, but we have some exciting updates with our apple trees. Look, we have baby apples. I'm so excited. I mean, I didn't even expect fruit on these this year. It's only the second year that they've been in the ground. And let's see if the other one has any. Yeah, you see, it's just a mess. And like, this is part of like redoing a garden. Like, see all of the rock we have to get out of here. And there were trees, like old crabapple trees that got dug out too. So that's the other piece of it, is we had those dug out. Anyway, so let's look and see if this one's got any. I don't see any on this one. But again, that's fine because the tree is healthy. And that's the biggest thing for me, is that the tree is healthy. If we don't get apples for a couple of years, that's fine. I know it's gonna come, but let's check the last one here. There's one of our rock collection buckets. Nope, no apples on this one either. However, I did post on Instagram because our peach tree out front does have some baby peaches on it, and I'm really thrilled. Okay, anyways, back to projects. So another thing I was trying to figure out was what to do with all my vining crops, because I wanted to grow a whole bunch of pumpkins again this year, but they take up a ridiculous amount of space. And I just did not have it in me to do a huge project of creating yet another bed, because I don't know, it just takes a lot. So I got this idea from Laura over at Garden Answer, who is like my gardening guru. Like, I love everything she does. But she just tilled up some ground, threw down some landscape fabric, and just planted her pumpkins right in there. And I was like, I can do that. So that is exactly what we did. So we went ahead and we did a makeshift bed. We got the heavy duty landscape fabric. So it's not cheap, but it's super thick. And you can see like there's grass and stuff popping up, but who cares? Because look at all the baby pumpkins. Look at them all. They are doing great. I mean, I just dropped a whole bunch of seeds in each hole. I was like willy-nilly about it. 4 seeds, 5 seeds, 6 seeds, whatever. But we have got pumpkins coming up every single hole. Now there are 9 different varieties of pumpkins, at least 2 spots for each one. And some of them have more than that. So like the champion pumpkins, which are the ones that do like jack-o'-lantern pumpkins. Like there's more of those. But I've got, let's see, 3, 6, 9, 12, 15, 18, 20, 22, 24, 25 spots and multiple pumpkins growing out of each one. I'm just super, like just tickled at how well this is doing. And I've got a sign that someone made me that says Abby's pumpkin patch that I need to put in the ground here, but I didn't want to jinx it until they actually started to vine out. That way I knew that, you know, it was a successful pumpkin patch. What do you think, Loki? Loki, are you excited for pumpkins? You don't care. All right, so I figured that was looking like it was gonna work out well. And this spring, because of just everything going on in life, like if you watched my last goals video, you know, spring kind of stunk for us for a lot of different reasons. So the weeds took over my in-ground flower beds, and it just didn't seem like I was ever going to get ahead of it. Like I never was going to get ahead of it. And so what I did is I laid landscape fabric down on the big beds where we're going to grow row crops and cut flowers. So not in any of my like house beds. I don't use landscape fabric in the house beds, but specifically here where I'm just growing them to cut them. I put down landscape fabric, and then I used a torch and I burned holes in the fabric and then planted right in there. And it seems like it has worked out pretty decently. I mean, obviously you're gonna get weeds coming up through those holes, but you know, I'm hoping that the plants are okay with it. So this is the cut flower garden where we have statice, we have gomphrena, we have lots of straw flowers this year. Like that's what these are, lots and lots of straw flowers, because I really wanted to do a lot of dried floral bouquets. I have cosmos in here. I have a whole bunch of varieties of zinnias, just tons. And I probably could have put these an awful lot closer. I think, you know, in my mind, I was like, oh yeah, it says 12 inches of planting space. I could have really put them closer together, but it's fine. So they are going strong there. We got new strawberry plants this year, and they are in this row that does not have landscape fabric because they went in quite a while ago, but they went in as bare root strawberries. So I mean, they came and they were just the crown and some roots, so it got them in the ground. These are all seascape strawberries, which are an ever-bearing strawberry, so we should get strawberries like all throughout the summer season. And they are blooming. They are starting to form up little tiny strawberries, so they are doing pretty good. The things that are in our raised beds over here by the cut garden, it's all florals, but it's been kind of like hit or miss. Like I got my seed started way late, and that has definitely impacted some things. So things were like super teeny tiny when I put them out, but I was kind of desperate to get everything outside. So I've got eucalyptus. These guys, actually, I did not start from seed this year. They seeded themselves, and I just moved them over and put them together. So pretty. They're doing great. We have celosia, we have stock. The tags are fading on some of these, and I don't even have the variety names at the tip of my tongue, but we've got just some different things. So like this one had a lot of things just die, and I'll just throw things in there to fill it up the rest of the way. This one's looking a lot better. This one's got snapdragons. Snapdragons always do well for me. So I've got lots of snapdragon varieties, tons of different colors going. Got some there. I've got alyssum, teeny tiny alyssum, but you know, it's holding on. And then some marigolds. We've got more snapdragons in the back there. This bed's just a hot mess. But it's by the barn. The whole goal of this one was simply to create like a pollinator garden. So I've got some things, obviously these things have all been here for a little while longer. I've got delphiniums that I started from seed a couple years ago. They're doing really good. Rudbeckia. The Rudbeckia that was here last year seeded itself. So those teeny tiny Rudbeckia that have grass trying to grow around them, and I've pulled that grass out like a gazillion times. Those ones I started this year, but all of these seeded themselves, and I was like, well, you know what? Let's give them a try. I added more foxglove, which are, I just put these in the ground and they are stressing. And I think most of them are probably gonna die, to be honest. Like, I don't think they're gonna recover. We will see. They might surprise me. Like, that one's looking pretty decent, but I don't know if they will survive or not. A couple delphiniums that are doing okay. Most of them stressed out. I don't know. Maybe I'm just not meant to start delphiniums from seed, but I keep trying because I really want a whole bunch of them in here, but they're not doing so hot. This is, it's called Summer Carnival, and I can't remember. Summer Carnival and Zebra are the two variety names. I'll remember the name of the plant and I'll post it up here. Hollyhocks, that's what they are, hollyhocks. So new hollyhocks, and then we had some of our hollyhocks from last year come back up on their own. So they're kind of interspersed because it was hit or miss. Like, one started back there and I do not know why I did not plant it there. So they're intermixed along with a whole bunch of zinnias and then a whole bunch of weeds. So you can see, like, this is what happens when it rains. They just pop up out of the ground like daisies. All right, this bed here is in its second year. We put down the landscape fabric, and I still need to bring in gravel because I do want to put gravel along the whole edge. I did put an edging, so that's in there, and that's part of what's helping to hold down the landscape fabric. But I want to put a walkway around it like I have on the other one. I'm just going to use bigger gravel rather than pea gravel. But I have sunflowers in this first row, a big variety of them. There's like 4 or 5 kinds of sunflowers, and then corn. Now I've got 3 different kinds of corn. I have sweet corn, and that's what is the biggest bit. Like the first 3 rows kind of going halfway back is all sweet corn. Then there's a section of mixed broom corn, so like the decorative drying corn. And then there is like a popcorn, which is multicolored corn, so you can use that for like Indian corn ears, or you can turn it into popcorn according to the package. So we'll see. Zucchinis and like yellow squash and things like that. So last year I had 2 zucchini plants and way too much zucchini, and this year I started 2, 4, 6, 8, 10, 12, 14. Okay, a few too many zucchini plants. So there you have it. That's what I do with life. We have got butternut squash. We've got like 8 butternut squash started in 2 varieties. We have got watermelons coming up. Excited to see those. And then the potatoes. We've got red potatoes and we have russet potatoes. And they are coming up in almost every hole. I think there's like 2 or 3 that did not have anything come up, and that's fine because there's plenty of them. There's plenty of them. Now for these guys, when it is time to harvest, I am going to have to cut and pull off this part of the landscape fabric because I'm not sure if I'm going to leave it or if I'm going to take it up and put down new every year. I have not made that decision yet, but what I'm going to do for right now is just when it's time to harvest, I will take up the fabric and then we will harvest our potatoes. We should have a healthy amount of potatoes. If you notice bricks and rock, it's because we've had some high windstorms, and it helps to keep this stuff from coming up, because despite the fact that I am using hooks in different places, it's not enough to hold it down. And then our tomato plants. So I've got 2, 4, 6, 8, 10, 11. And then I have that one that still needs to be potted. That one I'm going to put it in a pot and put it by the house. But a whole bunch of Romas, because making sauce is what we like to do best. And then we've got like some big boys, celebrity tomatoes and things like that. I think one of them is like one of those yellow and red striped ones too, but they are growing pretty decently. And then to show you the next project, so we got kind of a mess going on there, but we have a whole bunch of leftover mulch. So we're gonna put landscape fabric along this way and then put the mulch down on top of it and pretty much just kind of leave it for the summer, for the most part, to start to kill the grass underneath and create a bed. I had thought of doing what I did here, which was lay down cardboard, then lay down dirt, and then plant. But honestly, with how bad the weeds always are for us, I'm just gonna go ahead and I'm just gonna do it. I'm not normally a huge landscape fabric person, but it just seems to be doing the trick for us. So we're gonna try that to create this big border bed back here. Now what we're gonna do in the border bed is a mixed border. So that means it's gonna have some big like shade trees, it's gonna have evergreen trees, it's gonna have shrubs, it's gonna have perennials, all of that jazz. The idea is to create a little bit of a block, one to block wind, because the wind most of the time comes from that direction, to block the road because I just don't want to see it, and to give us a nice backdrop, because one day this big space behind me here one day is going to have a greenhouse and hopefully a formal garden around it. That's like long-term, you know, one day projects, but that's something that we really want to do. I do have a bunch of perennials that I have recently potted up, and I can show you them really quick. I started them from seed. They're going to have their home in that bed. So once we get that bed made, I'm gonna go and maybe pick up like 2 or 3 anchor trees. Like I'll go and I'll pick up a couple of evergreens, or I'll pick up an evergreen and a shade tree, you know, and get those kind of placed, and then start some rows of these perennials. Okay, so I've got a couple of different plants. I've got yarrow, I have got a ton of echinacea, different varieties of echinacea, pampas grass, oh, I can't remember your name, plant, it'll come to me. Anyways, these guys are started from seed. I don't want to put them out in the landscaping yet because I want them to put on some more growth. So I've potted them up. I'm just reusing pots that, I got my annuals in, works out nicely. We're gonna just let them keep putting on some size until I think they're big enough and sturdy enough that they'll do fine when I put them out there. So this is a great thing to do. Like I save these trays, I save these cans, and I just repurpose them. Like that way I don't have to buy anything. It's really a great way to use them, because otherwise what do? You just throw them away. So that seems like a waste. So yeah, that is where things are at with the garden right now. It has definitely been like a lot of work. It's a lot of work. So much moving of mulch and dirt and rock and planting, and then trying to stay on top of the weeding, getting things watered. But I love it. I love it. I get so much joy coming out here every morning, checking on all the plants, seeing how things have grown. Whenever we have a rainstorm, yes, like the weeds are crazy, but the plants put on so much growth when we have a big rainstorm. It's like they just suck up that water and they just turn it into new leaves and stems, and it's amazing. So if you are just getting into gardening, I would probably say, start small. Start with one area. Don't bite off more than you can chew, because then you find yourself hiring labor to come help you. And don't be discouraged if it doesn't look perfect, if it doesn't look exactly like you envisioned, because like none of my garden is perfect, none of it. There's weeds, there's areas that need to be redone with more rock. There are big projects we want to do. There are insects that we're constantly fighting. Like there's just a lot that we have to take care of. So don't get discouraged by that. It's one of those things where it's an ongoing hobby. It's something that you can keep working on and keep developing and keep adding to. And if you don't like something, you just take it out. Like that's all you got to do. So anyways, I hope you guys enjoyed this little look around the garden. I will give you guys updates on how things are doing, especially like our food crops and what we'll be doing with those, as we're getting into like recipes that we're making and canning and all of that good stuff. But if you have any questions for me, drop a comment down below. I will try to go back through and identify as many things as I can in the video, to help you see, what it is I was growing. But thank you so much for joining me for today's video, everybody. I will see you in the next one. And until then, happy gardening.